Hi, I'm Dr. Donnica Moore, President of Sapphire Women's Health Group and podcast host of In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donnica. It is my pleasure to share some of my experiences with the American Medical Women's Association that not only influenced my career, but also impacted my life, in a good way. I had many brilliant women mentors through AMWA who were extremely generous with their time and advice, and many of my friends over the past several decades are women I met through AMWA. I became a physician in 1986, but I joined AMWA as a student member after starting the SUNY Buffalo, now Jacobs School of Medicine, chapter in 1984. But I first learned about AMWA as a Princeton undergrad doing research on the unnecessary hysterectomy debate for my senior thesis. I saw a flyer about an AMWA conference at Weill Cornell Medical School in New York City, where a panel was addressing this topic. I wrote a letter to the organizer, triple board certified women's health pioneer Dr. Lila Wallis, who would go on to become AMWA president in 1988. I explained my research and that I would love to attend the session, but that I couldn't afford the non-member registration fee. I mentioned how much I would also like to attend because I was pre-med, but at that point I had never yet met a woman physician. Years later, as I came to know Dr. Wallace as a mentor and a friend, I realized that was all she needed to hear. She welcomed me at the registration desk and watched my face as I walked into an auditorium with more than 250 women physicians. She introduced me to many of them. It was a truly transformative and motivational experience. I saw Dr. Wallace again a few years later at an AMWA regional conference in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I had made a pitch to my dean that it was an honor for our school to be invited. He didn't know that all schools were invited, and that as founding president of our student chapter, I was requesting the days off to attend, as well as a full travel grant. Did I mention that it was February in Buffalo? I was shocked that he approved both. I remember being so excited to meet many of the speakers, especially a great conversation I had with the late women's health pioneer, Dr. Penny Wise Budoff. Her book, No More Menstrual Cramps and Other Good News, greatly improved my quality of life when I read it in 1980. I had the pleasure of seeing her at AMWA meetings for years and later working with her as a consultant. There were only about 10 other students at that Puerto Rico conference. We shared a condo near the expensive conference hotel, rented a car and commuted to the meetings, bonded while providing emergency care at a car accident along the way, and later relaxing at the pool, and formed an informal AMWA student and then resident cohort going forward for the next several years. After residency, I landed in New Jersey, where there was only one AMWA chapter for the entire state. Motivated by Dr. Wallace and Dr. Sati Keswani, another wonderful AMWA mentor and friend, who later became my own physician, I started a South Central New Jersey AMWA chapter. I later took on leadership roles on AMWA committees, on our peer review medical journal, as regional governor, and in several board of directors positions over the next several years. In 1993, I was honored to be elected AMWA president-elect at the national meeting in Chicago, although it was a little difficult for me to get there as I was 7 weeks post-op from a complicated C-section. To say I was exhausted was an understatement, but I left my baby home for the first time, packed a breast pump, and went thinking how lovely it would be to get a full night's uninterrupted sleep. Well, as luck would have it, that didn't happen. Shortly after I arrived, a producer from the NBC Weekend Today show called AMWA and asked if a member could do an interview via satellite hookup on women's health issues. The sitting president was a psychiatrist who told me she wasn't comfortable talking about heart disease, osteoporosis, and breast cancer, so she asked if I would do it at 5 a.m. the next morning. Not only did I desperately want to sleep in, but I had no idea where to find someone to do my hair and makeup at that hour. The hotel concierge came through with a recommendation, who met me at the studio and covered the black circles under my eyes. The interview went very well, and every few weeks, NBC invited me back to discuss another women's health topic. Subsequent interviews were all in New York, 90 minutes from my house, with their driver and their makeup person. Within a few months, NBC offered me a contract as their on-air women's health contributor for the Weekend Today show, as well as for a new daily show they were launching called The Later Today Show. That changed the entire trajectory of my career, which is a whole nother story. But to suffice it to say, it was for the better, and in large part because of AMWA. I am stunned, in a good way, that it's now nearly 25 years later, and I will be returning to the AMWA Board of Directors. It is my hope that I can live up to the legacies of my AMWA mentors and become part of other women's physicians' recollections someday, in a good way.